For this leg of Dosvinkel's exploration of Kenya, we travel to the lush green slopes of Kenya's highlands to uncover one of the country's biggest problems facing people and wildlife.
We're in an exceptionally beautiful bamboo forest at the foot of Mount Kenya, and along the river here there are very old trees completely covered with lichens and mosses and other epiphytes like orchids. And this is a primary forest, it's very old.
We've climbed to an altitude of 13,000 feet to photograph a species of plant that only grows on this particular spot. We're climbing with a team of rangers of the Kenya Wildlife Service. It's their job to protect us from the big five that roam freely in the park. Lion, leopard, rhino, but especially buffalo and elephant.
This is about 13,000 feet, approximately 4,000 meters. This is the most wonderful landscape you can imagine. And it changes the higher we get. It starts with the bamboo forest and then very old trees. And then we had the moorland. And then like here with the grassland. It's getting colder also and getting heavier and heavier to climb because of the lack of oxygen. But it's incredibly beautiful.
At just over 17,000 feet, this is Africa's second highest peak. It's also the most important water catchment area in this largely arid country. In fact, the lives of 3 million people depend on the continued health of the forests on these slopes. Just over 100 years ago, this mountain was barely known to the outside world. Stories of snow on the equator were ridiculed. But to the Kikuyu, who have lived in its shadow for more than 400 years, its summit is the home to Ngai, or God the Creator.
The first people to settle here were known as the Ndorobo. They called the mountain Doinyo Egeri, or Spotted Mountain. The spots are actually giant lobelias that only grow on these slopes.
And inside it has got some flowers.
One of the species protects itself against the harsh climate by having developed a special kind of antifreeze.
Protect it to regulate the temperatures that it requires.
See?
It's sticky.
It's slimy, it's sticky.
Yeah.
So because of that, it can't freeze.
It can't freeze.
And it grows in areas where it's very, very cold.
Yeah, very cold.
It's because of unique flora and fauna like this that in 1997, UNESCO declared the park a World Heritage Site. Its preservation is critical to the country as a whole, yet these pristine forests are increasingly being threatened by local people desperate to exploit the remaining resources. Bongo Woodley is at the center of this battle. As chief warden of Mount Kenya National Park, he's witnessed a decade of massive loss of forest through logging and charcoal burning. In the year 2000, the government gave him full responsibility for its protection. On his daily aerial patrols, he looks for signs of illegal logging, charcoal burning, and marijuana cultivation. All problems that are worsening as more people come to live on these slopes.
Good morning.
Morning.
You're Bongo.
I'm Bongo.
I'm Dos.
Dos, pleased to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
Good.
How was your flight?
Oh, it was okay. Yeah,
Yeah?
it's fairly calm because it's fairly early still.
That is good. So what's your main function actually here?
Well, I'm the senior officer in charge of Mount Kenya National Park and National Reserve. And yeah, I have a couple hundred people working for me This place here is the National Park headquarters where the bulk of them are. This is the sort of administrative centre of management.
Yeah. So
And then with the subhead,
and your main task is?
security is my biggest priority.
Yeah.
Everything is secondary to security, including tourism.
You have enough people to do all this?
Never enough. There's never enough vehicles, never enough money, never enough people. But I mean, that's the age-old story, isn't it?
And you have to protect it against?
Got to protect it against people who want to cut the trees for timber.
Yeah.
People who want to turn trees into charcoal. People who want to sort of move in and put farms in there. And of course, not to forget the wildlife poachers, snaring, hunting with dog packs. You know, there's just so much pressure on this resource.
Incredible.
Yep.
Before doing anything else, Bongo is keen to show me some of the more disturbing results of that pressure on the park.
Since the Kenya Wildlife Service received additional funding, specifically to combat poaching, arrests have gone up dramatically, resulting in the recovery of an astonishing number of tusks, skins and traps. During one raid, the rangers found the skins of 10 fully grown leopard. The implications are startling. As each animal occupies a territory of 10 to 15 square kilometers, it means that more than 100 square kilometers of forest are now without these magnificent animals, who play such a vital role in this complex ecosystem.
Poisoned arrows.
Poisoned, yeah.
Probably melted down batteries. Nasty poison, which will definitely give an infection. Snares made of steel cable. Again, these are capable of even snaring an elephant. Basically nails in the hopes that an elephant will tread on it.
Yeah.
And then not come back again. Yeah, the most serious aspect of poaching is the bushmeat trade. Scale snaring, but it's taking out every little species in the forest, stuff you don't notice until it's suddenly absent. Elephant poaching, rhino poaching, that's high profile. KWS jumps on that in a big way. But your small stuff, the stuff you're not going to really notice, is just being slowly removed out of the forest, slowly. Yeah, before you know it, suddenly you've got
Extinct animals.
pretty much. Literally, the bushmeat trade is going to see the end of wildlife in Africa.
But not all killings occur for fur and meat. As farms spread up the mountain, encroaching on the territory of elephant and other wild animals, conflicts between wildlife and people are on the increase.
Do the elephants eat the potatoes? They like it.
They like it. Zinakuja kwa shamba, anakuja tu anakanyaga hivyo.
So they get it out with their feet, I understand, and then they, with the trunk, they pick it up.
They eat everything. Cabbages, sugarcanes.
So this cabbage was not touched by the elephants?
Yeah.
And when they touch, they start growing like this?
Yes.
Yeah, but for them, this is paradise.
Yeah.
If you were an elephant, you would do the same. So what is your solution?
The solution is only to make electrical fence. It's the only which can help us.
I agree.
Yeah.
Then everybody would be happy. So that's the solution, eh?
Yeah.
So, money.
Money.
And you see their footprints here, and here, and there.
Yeah.
Bongo is guiding us through this dense bamboo forest to show us the main reason for protecting this mountain: water. This river is one of the many rivers flowing from Mount Kenya, originating in the glaciers and wetlands up the mountain.
As far as Kenyan people are concerned, the rivers that flow from this mountain and the other 4 mountains of Kenya are literally essential for their survival. If they cut the forest down, fine, the rivers will flow, but only when it rains. And then you're going to have rivers flowing in spate or not at all, because there's nothing to hold the water back. This forest it acts as a sponge. This captures moisture, this captures rainfall. It makes the rivers flow.
Walking through this jungle is not without danger, as it is home to buffalo and elephant. Suddenly we hear the sound of trumpeting. We hardly dare breathe.
We have to be very, very quiet, because they're only a few meters away. The wind, thank God, is away from us, so they can't smell us.
Among the group are 2 baby elephants, which makes the situation even more dangerous. And just 10 seconds later, they've melted back into the forest.
Hilde van Leeuwen has spent the past 5 years walking every inch of the mountain, producing the first detailed scientific study of elephants on Mount Kenya.
I'm sort of more of an ecologist. I study elephants in forests, which means that I don't see them very often. I have to sort of study indirect signs of behavior, and I look at their movements and their habitat use and what influences it. Elephants' distribution is very much determined both by geographical features and by people. One speaks of a resident population of around 2,000 elephants. The mountain would be sustainable for elephants if they had the entire habitat, because we're speaking of like 1.2 per square kilometer,
Yeah.
which is sustainable. But of course, if you reduce the habitat by 50%, it's not so sustainable.
Keen to see for himself the scale of the problem, Dos prepares to join Bongo on his daily patrol.
Coming into view, you've got areas of land within the forest reserve where farmers are allowed to plant crops in amongst tree seedlings. As they tend for their crops, they're looking after the tree seedlings, and that keeps everybody happy. The farmer gets free potatoes from the land. The forest department get free labour from the farmer. After about 3 years, the people move along to the next plot. Beneath us, just gone underneath our wing now, was a pine plantation. A lot of charcoal kilns there, and you can possibly see, yeah, there's some smoke. There's a charcoal kiln being set up there. The whole place has just been turned into charcoal, and it's not charcoal for their own use. This is basically for commercial purposes. Yeah, what we're hoping to do now is send in some rangers and arrest some of these people. Charlie 3 from Go Romeo. Chini ndege sasa iko na makaa inatengenezwa na watu.
To tackle the poaching and charcoal burning, Bongo's rangers have a shoot-to-kill policy when confronted with aggression. 4 teams of rangers are on constant standby, patrolling the area, always ready for action.
I know from personal experience from walking in the forest, when we came across loggers can be very hostile. Yeah. And even when they know they're doing something illegal, and they're poor also, so they don't have a lot of money and they don't want to get caught. You get loggers who will actually go as far as attack you with a chainsaw, despite the fact you have a gun in your hand. So it was an obvious thing to actually hand it over to the KWS. Actually, since KWS took over, I say there's a lot of improvement, but the logging hasn't completely finished, but it has reduced a lot.
A lot of these young men go into towns looking for work and are unable to find work, and do not want to basically go back to the shambas, to the farms. And this is an alternative for them to try and make a bit of quick money and possibly start their own business later on. This generation really has to be educated and made responsible for the forest, which is their heritage out here on the slopes of Mount Kenya.
In the meantime, Femke visits Edward Mutitu. As Bongo's right-hand man, he has forged vital links between the Kenya Wildlife Service and the local communities.
I'm sure you can just see this tree. This is the red cedar. And this tree is extinct right now. I hope you can understand what I'm trying to say.
I understand you completely.
Yeah, we are expecting to have these seedlings planted in the forest.
To strengthen the bond with the surrounding communities, Mutitu has set up a tree nursery, which provides saplings for free to farmers. But the carefully laid out reforestation plans don't always work out as hoped.
What an enormous destruction.
This is mass destruction done by elephants that come from the forest. What they do...
Elephants apparently love the sound of breaking trees. Here they've destroyed 10 years of nurture and care.
And now you can see, this is just about 40 to 50 elephants that did this work within a week time. If this goes on, we shall lose this forest.
Is there a solution?
Of course, there are solutions. We have two solutions. We have rangers. We can deploy rangers here and have a fence that runs from Ombe to Ragati. Those two solutions can help us curb this issue we are seeing here.
Before leaving Mount Kenya, Bongo takes Dos up for a rare view of the summits. The air here is paper thin, temperatures well below zero. And for a moment, they come face to face with the full raw grandeur of what the Kikuyu call the Mountain of Brightness. Many Kenyans now believe that fencing is the only solution to conflicts between humans and wildlife in these densely populated areas. One of the most ambitious efforts at doing this can be found just 80 kilometers away in the Aberdares, a mountain range supporting one of the largest indigenous forests in East Africa. Like Mount Kenya, the slopes carry a profusion of wildlife and over 1 million farmers who depend on its rich soils and rainfall. After landing at the Aberdare airstrip, the Winkles are met by Colin Church, a retired businessman whose goal is to raise as much money as possible to protect the Aberdare National Park. The conflict between humans and wildlife is being tackled here in a very straightforward manner, by putting up an impermeable barrier between them.
I have the feeling that you have a very specific love for the Aberdares.
I was born in Nairobi, but grew up on the slopes of Mount Kenya. So, you see, I'm a mountain man by birth. Morning, Dan.
Morning, how are you doing?
Good to see you.
Good.
Hey, you've really come on.
In fact, we have come very fast this time. Can I say we've got 10 more kilometers to complete the third phase?
This section?
Yeah, this section.
Fantastic.
Sounds very good.
By now, 160 kilometers of fence has been completed, already making it the longest conservation fence in East Africa. With progress continuing at the rate of around 1.5 kilometers per week, it'll be another 2 years before the full 320 kilometers are complete.
So it's not that heavy, huh? What kind of material is it?
Yeah, this is made of plastics. In fact, made from the normal waste plastics.
All used, so it's recycled?
All used plastics recycled.
That's good.
And most of it is found in the flower farms. You know, what has been used to cover the flowers. And the waste material is what is used to produce this. We still have about 160 to do.
160 to go.
After this phase.
Okay then, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Press that red button.
Since construction began, conflicts have reduced dramatically, and the rangers are now shooting animals instead of poachers. each sighting of rhino or elephant is faithfully recorded.
The sightings of the rhinos have actually improved a lot, you know, from 60, now we are up to 81.
81 in a month?
Yes, in a month.
So that's 2.25 rhino per day that the teams are seeing.
With the teams, yeah.
That's very good.
Okay.
Much effort is put into building a close relationship with the local farmers and getting their feedback on problems.
She's basically told you that before the fence was built, they had a big problem with lions and elephants coming in, lions destroying their livestock and killing the animals. But since the fence was put up, all this has stopped. The crops are now growing, the maize is growing, and the livestock is now safe. She's happy.
Lakini kwa wakati huu, kwa maana watu wamejua, wanunuzi wamejua ati shamba.
He's saying that before the fence, the value of the land here used to be about 50,000 shillings per acre. But now it has gone up to almost 120 to 150,000 shillings.
Wildlife in modern times has to be more managed because it cannot roam freely. But once you've got it, you've got an area which is secure. The security creates the environment for them to breed, for all the animals to breed, and so our elephant population in the Aberdares is very healthy, thriving, and increasing. And that will pose, in the long term, it will pose a challenge as to how that is handled. But you have to do that in a managed environment for wildlife in the 21st century. It's different from previous times.
Unfortunately, but anyway.
Yeah.
In the old days, national parks were established for their beauty. And I think these days one should try to give areas a status of protection before it's completely taken over by people, so that one can work with corridors as to allow migrations to occur, so sustainable wildlife resorts rather than just for their beauty.
The fact is, without the passion and dedication of the host of people fighting to preserve Mount Kenya and the Aberdares, these complex ecosystems would have no future. And the water supply for more than 1/2 of the people of Kenya would be severely threatened. For years, the idea of fencing in wildlife was seen as no more than a stopgap measure. Now it offers perhaps the only immediate way for farmers and wildlife to coexist in populated areas, providing a working model for the rest of Africa to follow.